Hello and welcome to some humble pie on the edge. And it is me that is eating that humble pie. And it's all because of this little knife you see lying in front of you. So what we have here is the WE Aeterna. And I think that's how you pronounce it. It's where the A and the E form one letter, T-E-R-N-A. And it is another Elijah Isham design, what they describe as a vertebral integral handle frame lock knife. It's a mouthful. We'll speak a little bit about that later. But why humble pie? Because in a very recent review, I said I don't really like Elijah Isham's design, except for the one that I was reviewing, the WE Anthropos. It seems here's another one that I actually really like. But I'm getting ahead of myself, so let's flip him open, lay him down there, and as per usual, I'll go through the materials, the dimensions, and then speak about the design and the attributes and what I think about this knife. So in terms of materials, we've got a blade steel of M390. Handle is titanium and carbon fiber, and you can see how that design integrates with those two materials. We have a clip that is milled titanium as well. Then all your hardware, the Torx screws, the pivot cap, that's titanium. And then the pivot is a caged ceramic ball bearing. In terms of dimensions, we've got a blade length of 83.3 millimeters or 3.28 inches, a blade thickness of 3.2 millimeters or 0.13 inches. Handle thickness is 14.2 millimeters or 0.56 inches. Handle length, or close length if you prefer, is 109.7 millimeters or 4.32 inches. Overall length is 193 millimeters or 7.6 inches. And then weight, let's check the weight of this little fella, and he is a light knife. The materials and the design contribute to that lightness. Let's get my scale on here, and the scale has been very temperamental the last few days. So we have joy, and we're on grams. Okay, let's have a look here. And we have 80 grams, quite close to their stated weight of 81 grams. And that's 2.8 ounces. They've got 2.86 ounces. Right, so there or thereabouts. But either way, a very, very light knife. Right, so that's all dimensions and materials out of the way. Let's flip him back open and lay him down there. And let's speak about this very, very interesting design. So, I suppose a typical Elijah Isham design, very recognizable as one of his designs, but wow, this one is very nice. It's got cleaner lines than some of his other designs, and to me, and this is just an opinion, it seems like a sort of more mature version of some of his knives, but either way, I find this very appealing. So we have a blade shape that's a Warncliffe. It's sort of a radical, very modified Warncliffe, but you can see the little bend there, the little corner there, and that flat edge. It is a flat grind and a very deep grind. There's no swedge or anything like that on that blade. Just a little chamfered edge on the edge. Chamfered corner, I should say, on the back edge of the knife, just to soften it a little bit. We've got a healthy, big sharpening choil there, and you can sort of use that as a finger choil if you're cautious, but if you feel the need to choke up on that to do some detailed work, yeah, you can do it pretty safely, as long as you're aware of what you're doing. And then anything else? Let's speak about the flipper. It's got the same as that Anthropos I was looking at. It's got that sort of forward-facing, sort of slightly weird, I suppose, weird in my opinion, from my viewpoint, flipper. It takes some getting used to, to actually use it just to get it right. Otherwise, you do soft flips like I just did there. But what's nice is when it's open is the way that flipper doesn't stick out at all, and the way it blends into the general shape of the knife there. So very, very, very tidy design. And now let's get into some of that design. In fact, let's look at the sort of hard, cold facts about the knife first, and then speak about the design. Titanium pocket clip, tip up carry, and right hand only. I spoke about the flipper tab. You can also deploy in Spidey flick him quite nicely using that triangle cutout. In fact, that's the most pleasing and snappiest way to get the knife open. That is really nice. And let me keep quiet so you can actually listen to that. So yeah, very smooth on those ceramic ball bearings. Is yeah, it's quite drop shutty. Very nice smooth action. And in size, in my medium-sized hands, you can see I very extremely comfortably get onto that knife, and extremely comfortably because that shape is actually really nice to get a hold of, even though it is quite thin in this area, in that part of the handle. Bigger hand, once again, you're gonna stray off the end, and you might fall off the back end of the knife there a little bit with one finger, and then that's what it looks like if you choke up on the blade. No jimping. In fact, I didn't look. Is there any jimping on that? Yeah, a little bit of jimping on that flipper tab. But other than that, a very smooth, very beautiful design. And then we've got, let's get it the right way. Am I upside down? Is it Isham? I think that's Isham. Time for those glasses. Isham just etched on there, and I'm assuming that's got some significance. I don't know if that's a version of his logo, or if it is his logo, or some significance to the knife. But yeah, it's so neatly done. It kind of adds to the whole look of the knife that that really appeals to me. Right, now let's speak about the design of this knife and how beautifully and well considered this design is. And it's the words I think I used when I was looking at the at that Anthropos. And if you haven't seen that, please go and check out that review as well. That's a Civivi knife, the Civivi Anthropos. And it's the way everything sort of lines up and how these swoopy lines kind of join and flow into a certain part, a certain portion of the knife and so on. And let's start here with this triangle cutout in the blade that is, suits the entire knife, first of all. So you got that cutout there, and you got another cutout there that just, in terms of the size and everything, just seem absolutely perfect. But look at the line of that handle. So there's no ricasso to speak of here. The ricasso is kind of hidden behind the handle. But look at that shape there of the handle and how that perfectly flows into that triangle over there. And then we got that sort of swooping line, just a little bit of a bend over there, which just makes that swooping line a little more interesting in my opinion. But then how that flows up and where it ends sort of flows out, empties out right at the bottom of that triangle. And then we've got that swoop that runs up to the corner, the top corner of the knife. So, where the blade carries on and where the triangle starts. And at a, when you put the knife at a bit of a distance, that flow seems to just continue onto that triangle and then taper off into that sharpened line. It is just, that is elegant and so pleasing to the eye. And when you spot that sort of thing, it's just it just is. It's pleasing to see, and the more you see it, the more you appreciate and you consider how much time and effort was put into designing this knife and considering all those little lines. And here's another one. So you've got that cutout on the top that you can see through the knife there, which is just, again, very interesting. But that little cutout, you see it does a little curve at the top there, but that curve perfectly lines up with where the lock cuts into the handle as well. So for me, this knife is incredibly harmonious and soothing. That's sort of what it is. Oh boy, I'm waxing lyrical now. But when you look at this knife for a while, it's soothing. It really is. I don't know what's happening to me, but this knife really does really does appeal to me. So let's speak a little bit about that construction. So they described it as a vertebral integral handle, and you can see what they're speaking about. So the back, the spine of the knife, which is the vertebral part, I'm assuming they're speaking about, is integral. So there's no joins on there. And then all the titanium on the handle is actually one piece. So, it's separated by the carbon fiber, but the carbon fiber is an inlay. And if you actually look at the construction in the inside there, and this is probably not going to work very well, but I'll try to get a little bit of light in there. But if you can get one of these in hand, you'll see that there's at least one small point somewhere inside there where you see that the titanium is all one piece. And then also really nice, and see if I can get some light into that, is the back of the titanium on the inside, the back of the titanium, that spine where it's hollowed out, is rounded. So it's kind of like the design went as far as the inside as well. And by the way, the finish inside there is impeccable. It is so smooth. You can see where the carbon fiber and titanium join, that even on the inside of the knife, it is beautifully done and seamlessly done. It is just, it really is a beautiful piece of kit, this. And little things like that as well, where you've got the opening, and that's where the flipper tab comes through just neatly, just making it through there. But the way that is curved around there is also, it's just gorgeous. Etched on the back there is the blade steel, by the way, if you see the little bit of writing there. And then even the pivot, and you're probably not going to see this on camera. I mean, I battled even a little bit initially. When I first picked it up, I had to have a second look and grab the glasses, but that little pivot cap that cones up like that has got sort of concentric circles, the very lightest little concentric circles machined onto it. So even that is beautifully done. And then you can see around that pivot, if the light catches it there, the light's just catching it there, how that just gently curves up to where that pivot is. And then on this side, it does that around the logo. So, wow, just a knife that when I first saw it in the shelf didn't appeal to me. Like I say, Elijah Isham's sort of strange, bizarre designs don't appeal to me. And I got this thing in hand and I started looking around it, and wow, it is one of those knives that I now want. And I know that happens a lot. But for me, this is strange because as I mentioned early on, and I mentioned in my last review, his designs don't appeal to me, but this specific one is so tidy. And like I said, to me, to my eye, it's his design, his sort of weird designs matured. And it is such a gorgeous piece, this. I really do like it, and I really do want it. And then, of course, WE's standard that just adds to it. So where that carbon fiber and the titanium, where they merge, where they join there, is just seamless. You rub your finger over there, I think if you closed your eyes, you wouldn't even be able to discern where that join is. So yeah, just a stunning knife. The fit and finish is superb. The fit and finish is seamless, perfect on this knife. And then the little even the milled pocket clip didn't escape the designer. So if I can get a little bit of light just to catch it, but you can just see that little subtle milled line on that pocket clip, and then the general shape as well. Wow, yeah, just as you can hear, and that's why I say humble pie, because I was maybe being a little bit obnoxious towards Elijah when I did the last review, and well, you know what? When you're wrong, you're wrong. This is a absolutely gorgeous knife. It does come in a few. I'm not being paid for this, by the way. I don't know him. And I don't get paid by Blades and Triggers to sell knives, just by the way. So what you're hearing there is totally my opinion and my honest opinion, what I think about a knife. There are a few options on this. So you've got pretty much the same knife, but the titanium bits, you get a version. The titanium bits are flamed titanium, so it's almost like that. It looks to me like that tiger stripe titanium flame finish that we do, that you also saw on the Screech. It looks very similar to me. And then there's one where the titanium bits are gold anodized. I think personally, I think it detracts a little bit from the handle, from the design. And then there's one where the titanium bits are black. So that's attractive. For me, the flame titanium one also is unnecessary to add that kind of extra detail, fussiness to what is a pure and very, very beautiful design, again, in my opinion. Just as a matter of interest, you know, that shape of the knife, the shape of the handle, the inspiration for that design, apparently Elijah got from the Japanese Honsuki knives, and those are the boning knives that they use, the filleting knives. And if you look at a picture of those, you'll see that the blade shape is very similar. So that apparently was the inspiration for this knife. But well, yeah, nice piece, and another piece that I actually I do desire, and it's very strange to me that it's an Elijah Isham design knife that I feel this way about. But to me now, I said when I did the Anthropos, I said that was my sort of favorite knife of his. Well, it's been succeeded very quickly by this knife. Oh, while I'm flipping it around, by the way, this piece of the lock here, which just works beautifully, by the way, it's sort of soft, so it's a positive lock, but when you open that, it's that in itself is a little bit of a fidget toy. But that whole piece that you're seeing there, that's actually stainless steel. So that's like a stainless steel cap that fits onto the titanium that sits underneath. So the titanium frame is underneath that, and that's a stainless steel part that sort of caps that, and that creates your stainless steel on stainless steel lockup. Yeah, very, very beautiful. So I've gone on and on about that. Let's do a little bit of a size comparison, and I will use the usual suspects. And then I thought I needed to bring another knife in for a knife that is as beautifully designed as this. So let's start with the ones that I've used before, and the first one, the Manix 2, simply because I think it's a knife that a lot of people know. Similar length, but a sort of sleeker design on this. Although, you know, that central part, you know, the width in that dimension, pretty much the same between the two. Much lighter knife, perhaps a little bit thicker. That's that one. We've got, I'll use the Medford again. Just pop him on quickly. Give you a sense of that. Right, that's the Slim Midi Marauder for people who haven't seen any of my other reviews. I've still got the Sinkovich Zero Tolerance on the table, so may as well look at that one as well. And it's also a good-looking knife, so we may as well get a couple of good-looking knives lying together. Also, similar sort of footprint, but a much chunkier knife and a much heavier knife. Not actually that much chunkier, actually, not from the top. But a much heavier knife, the Sinkovich, the Zero Tolerance. What is that one? The 0456. This knife, I think a lot of people really are very familiar with. This is the Benchmade Mini Barrage. And then the other knife that I'm busy looking for, the liner lock there. That's such a clever boy. I mean, it's not that that's my knife or anything like that. Oh, and this one, still. The one that I keep promising I'll do a review for, might as well look at him. I suppose similar in purpose, the type knives, but that's that Kaiser Apis. You can get a sense of that. And I will, I suppose, one day actually do a review of this knife. That's why it's still on my desk, is so that I will do a review on him. And then the one that I brought is the WE Aeterna, and you know, I had to bring him on because maybe also an interesting shaped knife, and it's also a titanium carbon fiber construction. So that you're obviously looking at the titanium lock side, but if we flip that around, and it's also one of those WE knives where the titanium and carbon fiber meet is just absolutely seamless on that knife as well. So yeah, so another take on the carbon fiber titanium construction knife from WE. Right, guys, I think that is it, and maybe you're relieved because this is going to turn into a mammoth review of a person gushing over a knife design, but I really, I'll say it again, I really do like this knife. Once again, I've got to say thank you for Blades and Triggers support. I really appreciate their support for providing this very, very good looking and very interesting knife for review. I've fallen in love with it. They may have made another sale through this. At Blades and Triggers, this guy is 6,800 Rand, and I will be negotiating, and I suggest you do the same if you speak to them about a knife. They're going to ban me from their shop soon, I think. And then I saw him online at Blade HQ for about $300. So you can expect to pay around that price for it. And guys, I think that is it. That's all I got for you today. Once again, I really do appreciate you stopping by. And I'd really appreciate it as well is if you would subscribe. I don't know why I can't remember that word ever. If you would subscribe, I'd really appreciate it, and hit that bell icon. I'd love you to join me more often. And other than that, you go well and God bless.